just make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail. Most men don't know any deadbeat dads. Now, I should have said many, but I said any, so my bad. But it's a clip, Ghetto Boys Reloaded, with Donnell Rollins, that's on social media, and it was a short, and he was talking about how, black fathers get a bad rap. Like and Willie D was like, we get a bad rap for everything as black men. He's like, but the father thing is another, throw another log on the fire. And then he said, he doesn't know many deadbeat dads. Like, all the guys he knows are great fathers. Now, some people will say, well, that's your circle. That's the people you hang out with. That's how you move. That's how you gravitate. And see, here's the problem. Men don't really, like most men, whether they're husbands and in the house, or the single fathers, or they're non-custodial parents, those three groups of guys don't hang with deadbeats. But the problem is, it's more the three guys that I just spoke of than quote-unquote deadbeats. So the issue comes along where the guys don't know any. Like the guy's story and a girl and the mother's story don't add up. And so many guys have been through the family court system that there's an understanding of camaraderie, and maybe you can grade being a deadbeat dad on a curve. Because it depends. Like, you're not in the house. Okay. Guys know plenty of guys who weren't in the house. But just because a guy wasn't in the house does not mean he didn't have a house available. Like, more times than not, the mothers want to be on their own. They want to be in their spot. So, what you wind up with is a guy who lives here and a woman who lives there, and she doesn't want to live together. So he was never in the house. It's like, we know that's a half truth. So you grade that on the curve. The child support argument. Most guys who pay child support, you have to go through a process of years where you just pay child support. Because in the beginning, if you're paying child support, you're going to pay child support and you're going to do extra things for the kids because the mom's going to just pocket a lot of the child support for her own selfish reasons. So it might take you 5, 10, 15 years to say, you know what? You just getting the child support. I'm sick of this. Depending on the guy. So graded on the curve. There's so many fathers who guys consider dope fathers because they have to parent outside of the box. They have to figure out ways to be a parent outside of the box. I know the weekends and the holidays and the summers, aren't the whole year. But the problem with that is those guys do things in those time periods that, unfortunately, for mothering, they're better at parenting than a lot of mothers because they have to do more with less. And a lot of fathers and a lot of guys see that a lot of fathers do more with less. And what you see is a lot of mothers implementing the things that fathers who are quote unquote deadbeats have instituted and brought into their kids' lives. So guys don't look at it the same. It's like, no, he's not a deadbeat. I don't know those guys. And then you got the scenarios where, like I said, guys could be single fathers, and it's like, dang. And they're making it look easier than the single mothers. They got their struggles, but it's not as bad as the single mothers. And then it becomes an issue because the guys are looking like, I don't know any deadbeat fathers. Then you got the married guys, and their kids turn out great. And it's like, I don't know any deadbeats, man. And then you hear the lady stories, and they'll say this, and this. And you're looking at them like, okay. But a lot of these stories sound familiar and regurgitated to the point where it's like the Me Too movement. You got, at one point it's like, okay, You got 20 to 40 women with the same exact story. At a certain point, it's like, okay, which one of these stories, how many of these stories are real and how many of these stories you just going to say what the last person said? So what happens is guys have a good skill of discernment to say, okay, you either telling the truth, telling a half truth, which is a lie, or you telling a complete lie. So now it's like, okay, so he's not as bad as you say. It's just you're trying to make him look bad because you're on one. So that's a whole nother story. So these guys come off as, when you see these guys congregate, it's like it's less and less deadbeats and more guys just going through unnecessary obstacles to be a father. And now that you see a lot on social media and how the kids are acting on social media and how things are going on with the social media, now people are blaming the mothers for the most part because all of their, I want all control. If you want the vast majority of control, you got to take the vast majority of the blame. And then when you turn around, the fathers ain't in the house, but then you're on social media even showing how you try to get around the father being the father. You can't have it both ways. So I get what he's saying. But tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.